There are 7 weeks left in the Super League, and Galatasaray is going to play 8 games before the end of the season. We're going to talk all about our path to the championship, but first, let's have a little bit of fun. I don't know about your Twitter stream and Instagram stream, but mine was filled with chirping Liverpool fans. My YouTube was full of Liverpool's turned it around. Oh, really? Really? Brighton 2, Liverpool 1.
And they have like 5 injured players, right?
Yes. I just saw so many happy people on social media today. So I have a belief, my wife shares it, that what you put out into the universe comes back to you.
Yep,
So
exactly.
if you put hate out, hate comes back. If you put love out, love comes back. What did Liverpool put out this week, all these chirping fans?
They spread hateness. They spread negative energy.
And what came back to them today?
I don't know. You tell me. I didn't watch the game. I was
Bad
checking.
things, late goals, injured players, right? If they would have finished that game and issued an apology, we're sorry about our fence cutting your player's finger almost off. We apologize for our player breaking your best player's arm, even though it was an accident. Everybody would have been happier. Instead, they try to misdirect talking about racism against Kanate. These are just terrible people, terrible people. And so that's why we're also happy they lost the game and all these players are out. Because right now, if this result holds, the rest of the game today, they're going to drop to 6th place. All this money they spent, and they'll be the 6th place English team. And that guy that scored the free kick against us, he'll be right. They'll be playing in the Conference League. So, yeah. But we have injured players as well. Osimhen, the current word, nothing's happened yet, but I wish it kind of would hurry up. He said on an interview in Lagos, Nigeria, that he will need surgery for his fractured arm. Now, he's no doctor, but I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. So that's a 5 to 6 week recovery. The local doctor that I talked to said after 2 to 3 weeks, he could play with a protective type of brace on his arm that would allow him to play. But that's after the surgery, right? So we can't track back to Wednesday when the game happened and start counting from there. We have to start counting when the surgery happened, Serkan.
Right.
So as of right now, he's in Nigeria. I don't know where the surgery would be, but the quicker the surgery happens, the quicker he'll come back. So even on the 6-week timeline, he'd be back before the Fenerbahçe game. We'll get to that. So that means we're going to need another forward. And so now we're going to address this Mario Icardi situation that he didn't want to come into the game and Kaan Ayhan had to talk him into it. Now, I'm kind of coming down on Icardi's side here. If I'm the backup striker and I've done all I can for this club, now I'm very biased. I love Icardi. I love this. I love hearing Simge's song play at home. I'm on record. I'm very biased. So, and I'm also, I said last week, if you're down a goal, you need a goal, why would you take out a striker or not bring in a striker? So that seemed odd to me. That's the first thing that showed me Icardi was on the outs with Okan for whatever reason. Now, if you look at the leading goal scorers in the league, Icardi's still in the top 5. He's ahead of Osimhen. I was only in Turkey for 3 weeks, went to 4 games, and I saw him score 2 goals. And that was just in late January. So he's still effective in the Super League. And so if I'm Icardi and Osimhen is injured in the first half, I'm getting ready to take this warm-up jersey off and go in. And then he just stays out there and stays out there. Then halftime comes, and now we're not in the locker room. I'm not pretending that I have insider information. But then you come out, and your striker goes out, and your man who is the all-time leading foreign goal scorer ever, doesn't come in the game. Instead, two wingers from the left and the right come in, so now we have wingers running everywhere. If you were Icardi, wouldn't you be a little butthurt too?
I will. After what happened in the last game, I think we lost Icardi permanently. Remember, Icardi used to be the main star of this team, but now he feels left out, and that is completely normal. But here I'm not blaming Icardi. Yes, he shares some of the blame. He still has not returned to his old performance. But we are who we are because of him, because of what he has done. And honestly, this is not new to us. Remember Victor Nelson? He was sidelined by the coach, exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing is happening to Icardi right now. And I think we lost him permanently.
I don't want the same thing to happen to Icardi like what happened to Schneider under Tudor. Right? That was not the right way to let a player like him go. And we've all been in fights and had tiffs before. Serkan, we're both married. Have you and your wife never gotten in a big argument?
Of course we do.
Mine too. Are we still married and happy?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's always to make up after a fight. There's always a way to repair that bridge.
But you don't sign a contract in marriage.
Well, you actually do. You sign a marriage contract. You do.
That's a lifetime contract, though.
It is.
That's supposed to be a lifetime contract.
It's supposed to. Hey, I'm almost 22 years in, so far so good. So we know Icardi wants to play. That's what he wants. And so this is the role that he was built for. Osimhen is out. So Icardi should fill this role. All the reports now is going to be Barish. But this is our job as fans. If you want Icardi in there, be on social media. Let him know that's who we want. That's who we need to have. Icardi may not be the player he was, and he'll never be that again after the injury. But he's clearly showed he's good enough in the Turkish Super League. And guess what we have left this season? Nothing but games in the Turkish Super League. Speaking of, now we're going to talk about what we think is going to happen. So here's the current standings. We have 64 points. Fenerbahçe and Trabzon are tied at 60. Fenerbahçe is 9 goals ahead of Trabzon on goal difference. We're leaps and bounds above all of them. They're never going to catch us. But we have a game in hand where the Göztepe game was canceled. We now know where that game's going to be, so that's why we have 8 games left. They have 7. We're going to be away at Trabzon on the 4th of April, then away at Göztepe on the 8th. So that's a lot of traveling. You're going to go to the Black Sea, come back, then go to Izmir. Then we have Kocaelispor at home, Gençlerbirliği in Ankara, Fenerbahçe at home, Samsunspor, another tricky fixture, away, Antalyaspor at home. They're not good. That's good. Then our last game is Kasımpaşa, which could be a little tricky. Now, by that point, we should have already clinched the title with my math. But Kasımpaşa could be fighting for the ability to stay in the Super League at that point.
Maybe.
Who knows? But them and Eyüpspor. Kasımpaşa and Eyüpspor are kind of right there, teeter-tottering on going down. I don't want them both to go down because I love that stadium. That's my favorite away stadium. I like how it's sunk down. You can see the city. Plus, you can go to Nevzati Sokak, spend your time, walk there. It's great. All right. So here's the math. Our magic number is 18 points. We need 18 points from our last 8 games. So we have 64. Our current maximum is 88 points. That's going to be far away from that 101 we scored a couple years ago, right?
But then we had more games to play.
Well, but that shows you, too, that's the difference between not participating in Europe very long and concentrating on the league versus being in Europe.
Right.
We dropped more points because we were playing Champions League. That's just how it is. So I'm kind of happy we have the lead we have. Fenerbahçe has 60. Their max is 81. Same for Trabzonspor. Their max is 81. So if none of us lose a game the rest of the year, we'll win the league by 7 points. So then we would win the league with 3 weeks to go, which is very, very, very cool. And so, like I said, we need 18 points. So that's 6 wins out of the 8 games. So we can lose 2. So let's say we do lose those 2. And this is assuming Fenerbahçe and Trabzon stay perfect. Serkan, in our schedule, where do you see those 2 losses out of those games?
It all comes down to who is on the field. Since Osimhen is out and Lang is going to be playing on not next week, but the following week against Trabzonspor, right?
Yeah. Our first game back, yeah.
So our strategy relies more on individual players than on a structured team system. By that, I don't mean that we don't have a strategy. We do, but players like Osimhen, Lang, Lemina, Davinson Sanchez, Uğurcan, they significantly shape the style of our play.
Right.
When we don't have Osimhen, we play a different kind of game because opponents' defenders are able to push up and put us under pressure. Likewise, when Lemina does not play, it's an invitation to the opponent to use 2 attacking midfielders, right? So again, I'm going to use the same word. We have different variables here. So I think we're going to be losing some points against either Trabzonspor or Göztepe. It's kind of inevitable here. But I think the key player here is Osimhen. We already know that Osimhen will be out for 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks at most.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to talk about our potential performance both with and without Osimhen.
Well, so we know we're going to Trabzon without him, and we're going to Göztepe without him. That's for sure.
So that's what I'm saying. I think we're gonna lose 2 points either one of those matches.
That's not a problem. That's what's great about this. Losing 2 points there, you can lose 2 games. And so that's just 2 points. Now, the big thing to take into account is how we control our own destiny, which is great. Both the teams in second place, we play. So you beat one of those teams head to head, that's a 6-point swing. So you beat Trabzonspor on the 4th, they're out. I don't think they can come back from a 10-point gap with 6 games to go.
No.
Same thing, Fenerbahçe. We beat them at home in Rams Park. Same thing. At that point, they'd be somewhere between 10 to 8, 7 points out with 3 weeks to go. They just can't come back from that. And
I'm going to give some statistics next. Speaking of that, I'm going to give you some statistics next, and I want you to help me analyze this.
All
okay?
right.
I got a cheat sheet here.
Very good.
So we lost points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 games. Okay?
In the league?
Not in the league. I'm talking about the Champions League.
No,
I'm
no.
talking about the Turkish Super League and Turkish Cup. Okay? And Osimhen did not play in 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of those 11.
Okay. It's almost a little over half.
Right. And the games where Osimhen played and we still lost some points. Kocaelispor 1, Galatasaray 0. Monaco 1, Galatasaray 0. Manchester City 2-0. Juventus 3-2. And Atletico Madrid 1-1. So 4 of them are the Champions League games. I'm not even considering them right now. So when we don't have Osimhen, that's what statistics show in the league. When we don't have Osimhen, we're in trouble. That's what the statistics say.
So we lost to Kocaelispor in the league with him?
Yes. So the only game that we lost, Kocaelispor 1-0, and Osimhen. Well, wait a second. We actually played with 2 strikers, Icardi and Osimhen. Wait a second. I take my words back. So Kocaelispor 1, Galatasaray 0. We played with 2 strikers. So
yep, we did.
That was a tactical deficiency or tactical change, right?
Yeah, we've done that twice this year. We've won 1 game, lost one game.
That's the only game that we lost when Osimhen actually played. And again, we play with 2 strikers.
I know it's hard to lose him, but we still have so many great players on offense. And just like us, Fenerbahce's got injuries. Everybody has injuries this time of year. And the great thing is we have depending on how you look at it, a 4 to 7 point lead with 7 to 8 games to go. And so you've got Lang, you've got Sané, you've got Yunus, you've got Barish. We have lots of attackers, and 2, we have defense. We have defense. The reason we've got this 44 goal difference isn't just because we're scoring goals. It's because we're not allowing goals. And so it's hard for a team to beat you if they don't score.
Yeah, we have a good defensive line, yeah.
And so that's the joy of having Urjan. I mean, you're not going to shut out like we shut out Liverpool twice. We have to have some defense. And so if you look at our tricky fixtures for everybody, and this is what plays in our favor as well, right? We've already been going through the tougher part of our league. We just took care of Beşiktaş and Başakşehir. So for us, we've got Trabzon away, Fenerbahçe at home, Samsun away. Go stepping here. Fenerbahçe has Beşiktaş, Başakşehir, and Galatasaray. Trabzonspor has Beşiktaş, Samsun, the Black Sea Derby, Başakşehir, and Galatasaray. So Trabzon's got the most. And again, we take care of business. We beat Fenerbahçe at home. They're not going to win. And all this is saying, do you think that Fenerbahçe is going to sweep Beşiktaş and Başakşehir?
It's hard to tell. They're unpredictable. They lost against Karagümrük.
Right. So the stats say they'd get a draw in one of those games. They should draw in one of those games. Trabzon, do you think they're going to run through Beşiktaş, Samsun, and Başakşehir? I don't.
I don't know. That's not going to happen.
And so
but dynamics of the games will change. We're in the last 8 games, right?
Mhm.
So things are going to change. Things will have injured players and
Yep.
concentration levels will change. It's hard to predict those games without seeing who is on the field and who is not. That's why I kind of emphasize the importance of Osimhen here.
Well, that's why these statistics, right? Let's see. Team that has the kind of lead we have with this many games left in the season has a 91% chance of winning the league. Because, like you're saying, Fenerbahce's injured right now. Who knows what's going to happen with Trabzon? We are. No one's at full strength. No one's just going to run a gauntlet through the rest of the season, right? But we're the team historically that has shown how good we close out a season.
Think about Skriniar. After Skriniar got injured, they conceded a lot of goals, right? Skriniar was the guy that controls that defensive line.
Well, and Talisca was the guy scoring the goals.
Right. So without those 2 guys, they lost how many points? 7 points, 8 points?
Yeah.
In a matter of like 4 games, maybe?
Yeah. And so, like, if Trabzon, I don't want this to happen, but if what's his name? Onachu, what's his? Onachu. If he gets hurt, they're toast. He scores all their goals. So yeah, but the statistics show that we should win. Go to Trabzon and draw. Beat Fenerbahçe at home. You're going to win. And so, if everybody just wins out, we win the league with 2 weeks to go. If anybody drops anything, and we drop anything, it's still 2 weeks. So, it's hard to see a scenario where we don't win the title.
And then we may have a different discussion. Well, maybe not. When is the next game?
The 4th.
The
4th of
4th.
April.
So we may have a different discussion after April 4.
It's
What if
it's
we
2
beat
weeks away.
Right. What if we beat Trabzonspor, and what if Fenerbahçe loses points to Beşiktaş?
Oh yeah, because those games are the same
There
weekend.
will be a bigger gap, right?
Oh, it'd be huge. It could be 9 or 10 points.
Right. Again, there are different factors that play roles in this kind of games, like injured players, number of remaining games, and so on.
But that's something we would have to lose 3 games out of 8. We haven't had that kind of record in. We lost 3 games out of 8 in the last 4 years, or
I think we lost 5 games in 2.5 years.
yeah, exactly.
Only 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, the statistics show that we'll win the title, but again, never say never.
I'm not going to.
Knock on the wood.
That's right. But all these statistics that show where the games are, who's got it. Trabzon has the toughest road. Fenerbahçe has the second toughest road only because they have to come to Galatasaray. I think we have the easiest road. And the other thing I like is we know going into this Trabzon game, we're not going to have Osimhen. And Okan has showed, don't you agree, over time, when you give him 2 weeks to prepare, he's prepared. They'll practice, they'll game plan. It's not going to be a surprise that they won't have Osimhen in this game. They'll design an offense to win.
Again, our game plan relies on individual players, not
Which
on
we have. We have wonderful individual players.
right, but Osimhen is like 50% of that plan.
Not if you plan without him. So here's what I think. That I feel sometimes with Osimhen, we depend on him too much. So we're just like, we'll score eventually, he'll score. You take him out, I feel that makes other people take on more responsibility. It forces Okan to actually game plan and forces our team to actually practice to the game plan and execute.
I just gave you the list of the games that we play without Osimhen.
It was one.
We only lost 2 games in Turkish Super League, so there's one.
Well,
But I'm also including the games that we play in the Champions League.
yeah, we're not playing in the Champions League, though. We're playing in the Super League. And go back to the start of the season. Who was our striker to start the season?
It was Icardi, Barış,
No.
and together.
It was Barish. Icardi wasn't fit.
Well, Icardi played in September, right?
Barish was the striker in the first 3 games. And he was scoring goals. So you practice with Barish at striker. And remember, that was before we had Noah Lang. And at that point, Sane wasn't even playing good. So now you'll practice with Barish at striker. You've got Eunice. Sara's playing way better than he was back then. I think we're going to be totally fine because we have better players at all those positions than other teams do. We're deeper.
So my understanding is that we're living out Icardi.
Right now we are, because I haven't seen, I'll have to see a press conference or see him play. Because the fact that we didn't take Osimhen off and bring Icardi in a game that we needed to win to go to the final 8 of the Champions League showed me there's something going on that they're not making public.
That was a deal breaker.
For them. Hey, I've seen women take back husbands who cheated on them. If a woman will take back a husband who cheated on her, I'm sure we can fix whatever's happened between Icardi and Okan.
As a friendly reminder, his contract is going to expire in about 2 months.
That's correct.
He's free to leave after that, so he doesn't give a shit about it.
Oh, I totally disagree. This will be, no. This will be his audition for the next team he's going to. So let's assume he's not coming back. If he sits on the bench, what does that tell another team? They've heard Icardi was a attitude problem. It must be true. But if Icardi's starting and scoring goals, well, that's an attractive-looking 33-year-old striker.
Well, rumors say that he is going back to Italy next year. And people say that he already signed a contract with Juventus.
I really doubt it. If I'm Juventus and I'm looking at a player sitting on the bench, and you're Juventus,
I wouldn't buy Icardi.
no. Now, if Icardi starts these last games until Osimhen comes back and scores 4 or 5 goals, I'd want that Icardi. So I think Icardi does himself a disservice by not playing. And if he's fit, I think Ocon does the team a disservice by not playing him. You've got to take your ego and your pride off the table. Galatasaray is bigger than any player or any coach. So no individual coach or player should put themselves before Galatasaray.
Absolutely.
The goal is the championship. Hedef Yirmi. You know what we want to do? We want to spend more money in 4 years. We want to have to go buy 6-star jerseys with 6 stars on them. Hang the 5-star stuff up in the closet. We want to be calling our friends. When you going to Istanbul, can you buy me a jersey? That's what we want to do.
I think we're going to win the title, but again, we're talking about statistics, and statistics change depending on the environment. And what I mean
Right.
by the environment is the players that play, the coach, the motivation, the level of motivation, and so on. So we're going to know it better after Trabzonspor game.
Hey, if I just went out of the Champions League ugly like that, the first thing I'd want to do is go to Trabzonspor and whoop some butts. What I want to do.
That's
And
going to be a tough game.
silence all the haters is what I would want to do.
It's not going to be an easy game at all.
It won't
It's gonna
be,
tough.
but
And it won't be even harder without Osimhen.
I don't know. We have good players. Hey, I said it. If we'd had to play Trabzonspor today, we'd lost. Because that Liverpool game was physical. What happened to Liverpool today? They played Brighton Hove Albion and lost. It's hard to play a Champions League game like that on Wednesday and turn around and play the next weekend in the league. Your concentration level can't be there. Your body's not ready.
Thanks God we had this break.
So we've got this break. So that gives the players' bodies time to heal up. Now, we do have tons of players on national team duty, but this gives Ocon time to game plan. And guess who's not on national team duty? Icardi. This gives Ocon time to game plan and get everything ready to go to Trabzon and win without Victor Osimhen.
Icardi is not going to stay in Istanbul. He's going to be traveling to either Argentina or Italy.
Yeah, he's got a cell phone, though. He's got WhatsApp, baby.
What is he going to say?
Him and Ocon can chit-chat
Chit-chat what?
about how much they love each other.
He needs to make him ready for the next game. Physically.
They got training grounds in Argentina and Italy both. You can go out and jog.
I doubt it, but
He needs to keep that body healthy and fit. Don't need to overdo it. Be ready to play in these 5 games. So that's where we are. All the signs, all the stats point to Champion Galatasaray. We're gonna win the title. Turkish Cup's another thing. We got Gençler Birliği first, and somebody else. We'll talk about that later. But the title looks good. We will be back. We'll be back next Thursday with a video about the Turkish national team. I know we're a Galatasaray channel, but we have lots of players on the national team. And if you happen to live in North America, I know you're rooting for Turkey to come to North America because all those Galatasaray players will be in the States. And that'll be super cool. So we'll be back then. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you watch 3 or 4 of these and you enjoy them, you might think about subscribing. And hadi, in Buke, Jim Boom.